You wake up before your alarm to make your children's breakfast, you have a big presentation at work that morning and really need time to prepare, but you still don't ask your spouse to help with the cooking. At work, the presentation isn't set up, it's not your job, but you get all the equipment ready anyway. Then before you can even begin, your boss has asked you to coordinate the upcoming Christmas party. He would do it himself, he says, but he's just too busy. Of course you agree. All this and it's not even lunchtime. Sound familiar? If so, you know how draining a day without boundaries can be. That's why setting boundaries is both a necessary act of self-care and an act of kindness to others. In today's video, you will learn exactly how setting boundaries can work and how to put them into practice. So let's start. Smart idea number 1. Setting boundaries is an act of kindness. Walls, fences, no trespassing signs. When you think about it, your physical environment is delimited by all kinds of concrete boundaries. What's more, those boundaries exist for good reason. It prevents you from wandering into a hazardous zone. Boundaries are just as necessary for your emotional and spiritual protection. Unlike physical boundaries, however, emotional and spiritual boundaries are not laid out in a way that's clear to everyone. That can make it difficult to establish your own boundaries and to discern those of others. Or, enforcing your boundaries can make you feel mean. But it shouldn't. When you set a boundary, you take ownership of your needs, wants, and feelings. Yet when we do this and prioritize ourselves, we often feel like we are neglecting those of others. Let's be clear. Setting healthy boundaries doesn't mean you have no stake in other people's problems or spiritual concerns. It simply means that you are not solely responsible for them. Remember, you are responsible to others, but for yourself. For example, in the workplace, you might be over-responsible, meaning you are always taking on responsibilities that are not yours. You are motivated by the fear that a colleague's undone work or their lackluster performance will reflect poorly on you. If this sounds like you, take a step back, own your problems and tasks, and leave others to own theirs. Smart idea number 2. Accept your limitations. Rohit is proud of his home, and he is always coming up with home decorating DIY projects and roping Pooja in to help on weekends. This frustrates Pooja, who can't devote time to her hobby, oil painting, because she is too busy with Rohit's projects. Actually, Pooja can spend time oil painting, but she won't, because she is refused to own her limitations. There are limits to what we can give our partner without compromising ourselves. When we don't recognize and respect those limits, we create resentment. Smart idea number 3. Personal boundaries are important in professional life too. Ramesh has a great reputation at work. He's a can-do guy, a team player who always goes above and beyond, even when that means working late nights and weekends. What's great for his working life though is terrible for his family life. Ramesh thinks the problem is that he just can't say no. Ramesh's wife Riya sees it differently. Ramesh is great at saying no. He says no to his family all the time. He is just more comfortable asserting boundaries in his personal life than in his professional life. But Ramesh needs to learn that boundaries are as crucial at work as they are at home. The stress of providing ourselves to be reliable and professional causes many of us to neglect our personal boundaries at work. Finally, at the end of the day, remember to create a boundary between work and home by leaving work stress at work and home stress at home. Recognize that work is infinite. There is always more to do, but your time is finite. Remember, if you can't say no to work, then you are saying no to other things that make life worth living. When life spins out of control and relationships feel unmanageable, it's often because there is a lack of boundaries. Boundaries empower us to own and address our own problems, desires, and feelings. They help us support others in their problems without shouldering their burdens and enable us to ask for and accept help. Boundaries are not just necessary, they can be a source of love and joy in our lives. I have learned these things from the book Boundaries by Henry Cloud. You can buy the book by following the link given below in the description. Thanks for watching. More wisdom, more solution, better life.